Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody is doing fine. And there are some things in life that you don't expect to do, but end up doing. And this is one such session which I never expected that I will be doing. And here I am, okay, on how to fill the form per se, okay, and how to give the service preference. So before we get started, can we do a quick audio check if you can hear me? A quick audio check. All right, so let's commence. So here I am in this session where we'll be talking about filling the form. First of all, I'll be very honest. I don't understand the need of including service preference, hobbies, extracurricular activities, leadership roles, etc. as a part of your preliminary examination, because whatever used to happen, it used to happen for us in the mains examination or interview. I'll just quickly run through, okay, what is to happen until 2018 and 19. So this service preference, this cadre preference, this hobbies, we used to enter in the mains DAF, right? And after that they thought that it is redundant, because most of the people who are appearing for mains will not be eligible for interview, so why waste their time? And they shifted this to DAF 2, that comes after you clear mains and before you appear for interview. So this hobbies section and all, for civil service examination, we are now supposed to fill after you clear mains examination. But as part of OTR, this time, for the first time ever, UPSC has introduced that in your after the Pooja Khedkar case. And about the previous number of attempts that you have given, yes, that was needed, but this was not at all needed. So at the outset itself, I will want to tell you what exactly UPSC has mentioned in the form here. Okay, if you can see the form, just a moment. If you can see the notification and open page number 9 in the notification. If you can open page number 9, just give me a moment. Yeah, in page number 9, if you can see the last word, third paragraph, B1, or sorry, B2. The Commission shall provide a window of 10 days after the declaration of result of civil services preliminary examination for taking cadre preference from the qualified candidates. All the qualified candidates will mandatory fill the cadre preference along with a fee of rupees 200 for the admission into civil services main examination. So now what the commission itself is telling is, whatever the services that you fill now, again after you clear preliminary examination, the cadre, like, which do you want home state as a first preference, after the home state which zone do you want, so all those things that you have to do after the declaration of preliminary results. Now if you can go for B3 in the same page, the next paragraph, the commission shall also provide a window of 15 days from the date of declaration of result of written part of civil services main examination to the candidates qualified for personality test or interview. The candidates, as per note 1 below rule 6 of CSE 2025, shall be required to update their details or educational qualification status, whether appearing or appeared, and to produce or upload the proof of passing of requisite qualifying examination at the specified module or portal, failing which the candidates shall not be allowed to appear in personality test or interview. Along with that, if you see and go for the next paragraph, note in this period, all the candidates qualified for PT shall also be provided an option to update. Again, I am repeating this, an option to update correspondence or postal permanent postal address, higher education qualification, achievement in different fields, if any. So these are the achievements that are asked now also. Employment details or service experience, details of service allocated on the basis of earlier or previous civil service examinations, if any, and service and cadre preferences for the current examination. So the commission has told that even after the mains results is declared, in that 15-day window, they are going to again allow us to modify. So that means there is a chance for you to modify that, so you don't have to worry too much about having everything sorted now itself. So yes, these things can be filled again. It has been mentioned in your notification. Now, let us start by giving a brief about your service preference. Since it is modified, it is allowed to be modified in the future. I will not go in a detail. I'm just going to give overview of everything that you are supposed to fill. And later on, since anyways, if you clear preliminary examination, then definitely at that time we can go a little bit more in depth and work on all these aspects of which service do you want, what hobbies to fill, right? So with respect to service preference, when we begin, most of your people who are appearing for the first time or for the nth time will either have IAS as the first preference. Very few will have IPS as the first preference, and some people who exclusively want Indian Foreign Service as the first preference. So it's of the three, the first preference. Indian Administrative Service. Some people who are very inclined to joining police, who like to enjoy the power of wearing the uniform, they will opt for IPS, Indian Police Service. And those people who are very interested in the international affairs, who want to work as ambassadors, who want to be delegates to various foreign countries, representative of India, who wants to be diplomats, they will give Indian Foreign Service. I will not go in detail about these services because these are the three most sought after services. So generally you should start your first preference as IAS. If you are too much into the police service, IPS as the next one. Okay, and if you want foreign service, then as a first preference you can write foreign service as the first preference. Now I just want to, for the freshers, I just want to clarify now itself that if you give IPS as the first preference and IAS as the second preference, then there is no way that you will be getting IAS ever. Okay, so be mindful of that, because most of the people opt IAS as the first preference. So by the time it comes till IPS, if you give IPS as the first preference, so you will never get IAS in that attempt. And if you give IFS as the first preference, you may still end up getting IAS if the number of seats are there. So remember this. Okay, the next service. So generally if you have given IAS as the first preference, people will give IPS as the second preference, and some of you will be under the impression that you don't want to leave the country, so that people will not put for IFS. They'll either give 5 or 6, because by the time IFS seats will be exhausted, or they will choose not opted. You can also choose not opted as well. So those of you who do not want to travel outside the country, or do not want to be posted outside the country, want to serve the country just by being in India, who do not want Indian Foreign Service IFS, So choose that as fifth option or below, or choose not opted. So first preference is IAS. Second preference generally goes to IPS. Some of you are not heavily fond of police services because remember one thing, Indian police service is both physically and mentally demanding. So in that case, what people generally do is they sort of do not opt for IPS or give it a lower rank. If you give 6 or 7, you will not get IPS, or again not opted. So those of you who do not want Indian police service, do not want Indian police service, give it 6 or 7 as the order of preference, or choose not opted. So just to be clear, IAS as the first preference if you're interested in IAS. If you're interested in IPS, IPS as the first preference. If you're interested in IFS, IFS as the first preference. Let's say if you are giving IFS as the first preference, you can give IAS as the second preference and IPS as the third preference. Okay, that's the order. And if you want IAS as the first preference and you do not want IPS or IFS as the next preference, you can skip both. Give it a lower preference, lower number, lower as in higher, 7 or 8 or 6 or 7, like that, or choose not opted. Now these three services most of you are aware of. So assume that I am a candidate who does not want IFS, so I have not opted for IFS, but I want all other services. So I gave IAS as my first preference. I gave IPS as my second preference. Now next to what? Next is to be Indian Revenue Service, IRS. As a part of IRS, there are two things: Indian Revenue Service, that is customs and indirect taxes, and then there is Indian Revenue Service, income tax, IRS IT, IRS customs. Now, generally, till 2 to 3 years back, people used to prefer IRS IT as the third preference after IAS and IPS. But because of various reasons, the power of the income tax department have gone down. And after the introduction of GST, the power of indirect taxes, that is customs, have gone up. So during 2017, 18, 19, 20, we used to prefer IRS IT as our third preference and fourth preference as IRS customs. Now, those of you who want power, so the criteria I am telling, those of you who want power can opt IRS customs as your third preference, assuming that we are not keeping IFS in the picture here. So after IAS and IPS, the third preference should be Indian Revenue Service customs if you prefer power, to enjoy power. And also, it also is a uniform service. You get to wear uniform based on your postings. Now, those who want more work-life balance, power is there, but relatively less power than customs, but more work-life balance. Most of your Saturdays will be off. Sundays will definitely be off, apart from those few months where deadlines are there. Then you can go for IRS IT, income tax, as your third preference. And IRS IT also has good potential opportunities. After 15-20 years of service, if you don't like civil services anymore, you can shift to multilateral organizations, IMF, World Bank. A lot of opportunities are also there in corporate. And also remember, we are talking as of now. The power equations may change anytime. So currently, IRS Customs has more power, more authority, and IRS IT as the work-life balance. So based on your preference, if you want power, put the customs as your third preference. If you want more work-life balance, you put IRS IT as the third preference. So third and fourth are sorted based on your power and work-life balance. So if you put IT as third, customs is fourth. If you put customs as third, then IT is, and we have CAG at a national level. So you audit and take part in audits and maintaining the accounts of all the central government as well as state government. It's a very good service. Power is there. And IAAS, Indian Audits and Accounts Service, also has a good work-life balance and service orientation. So there is good work-life balance as well as service orientations in audits and accounts. So this should be your fifth preference, this audits and accounts. And also ensure, okay, also ensure that, okay, this is a good service. You don't miss out on that. Now, the next, number sixth preference, IRMS. Now, again for this year, IRMS has been disintegrated. 3 years back, IRMS, that is the earlier what was called as IRTS and IRAS and IRPS were merged together as IRMS. Now they have changed it a little bit. Okay, now they have told Indian Railway Management Service in bracket traffic, Indian Railway Management Service personal in bracket personal, and then Indian Railway Management Service in bracket accounts. Okay, so that if you have your notification, the service number 12, 13, and 14, if you see, right? Earlier it was Indian Railway Traffic Service, Indian Railway Personal Service (IRPS), and Indian Railway Account Service (IRAS). Okay, so all those three now have been early, 3 years back they merged it into IRMS. All the three: traffic, personal, and accounts. Now again, now they have been demerged. The nomenclature has been just changed: IRMS traffic, IRMS personal, IRMS accounts. So now in this, I'll just tell you the difference. All three are good services. Okay, all three are good services. You can give it as 6, 7, and 8. Okay, you can give it as 6, 7, and 8. 6, definitely go for Indian Railway Management Service Traffic. So IRT, what was formerly IRTS, Indian Railway Management Service Traffic. So what is your roles and responsibility? Very important. Railway operation, hectic job, but very good job. You know, there are so much of rails to be managed. Okay, and these are all after IAS and IPS and Indian Forest Services. That is a separate examination with the common prelims. All are central services. And one more before we proceed, if you get IAS and IPS, you will get a state allocated to you, a cadre allocated to you, and that is your permanent cadre. Let's say you get Karnataka, your permanent cadre is Karnataka. If you get Gujarat, your permanent cadre is Gujarat. Very few instances to change. But all the others, Indian Revenue Service, Indian Audits and Account Service, Railway Service, these are all central services. Now, with respect to central services, every few years you can move around various states in the country. So transfers in interstate are possible in the central services, and they are very well organized. Also, the transfers are very well organized. So coming back to this, the number 6 preference should be railway IRMS traffic. Here you manage all the railway operations, both passenger and freight. Hectic but a very dignified service. The next one should be railway accounts, IRMS accounts. The seventh preference should be IRMS accounts. Here you manage the accounts and financial management of Indian Railways. And eighth one obviously should be IRMS personnel. Here you take care of all the personnel involved in the operations of the railways, the administration of them, management of them. So 6, IRMS traffic, 7, accounts, 8, personnel. See, this is what I'm telling as per my, and also one disclaimer here, I'm telling as per my preferences and all those who generally prefer. If you have any separate preferences, you can opt accordingly. Here I'm just going to, I'm telling you as per what others, most of the people feel, as per my own preferences. And as you are very well aware, preferences change from people to people. So choose what best for you. There's no hard and strict rule that you have to follow this order. And even if you follow this now, later there is always changed. Later it can be changed. All right. So the next one is Indian Defense Accounts Services. So if we can go to eighth, okay, which is given in your notification. Sorry, seventh in your notification. Indian Defense Accounts Service (IDAS). So what do you do? Same like railways, how you manage their accounts, you manage the financial aspects of Indian defense. That should be your the next in line. And eighth, number eight should be Indian Defense Estates Services (IDES). Here you manage various aspects of various land acquisition of defense and all the associated things with respect to the maintenance of defense estates all over the country. It's still a good, very good services. And the next one should be ICAS, Indian Civil Accounts Service. What exactly you're doing? All the financial records, budgets of various government departments you are managing as a part of Indian Civil Accounts Service. These are all Group A, mind you, central services, but all are Group A. Now, let's go to the next service. The next service would be a good service. Indian Trade Service. Now, in Indian Trade Service, what do you do? Trade policy, international trade policy, domestic trade policy, all those aspects of international trade you're going to manage. And the next is corporate law services, ICLS. If you see service number 6 given in your notification, it's an emerging aspect of civil services where you work in corporate governance, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, ensuring law enforcement related to business and corporations. Good enough service again. After this, week, you can go to the postal services. Now, many people, there are two things in postal services: Indian Postal Service, also known as IPOS, and Indian Post and Telecom Communication Accounts and Finance Service, IP and TAFS. So in this two services, you can put one after the other. Some people prefer IP and TAFS, that is Postal and Telecommunication Accounts and Finance Service. That means you are responsible for maintaining the accounts of posts as well as telecommunication across the country. Whereas Indian Postal Service, you are largely aligning towards various aspects of managing the post, whatever the aspects are there, mailing across the country, infrastructure, etc. across the country. So next, you can either put Indian Post and Telecommunication Accounts and Finance Services first, or you can put Postal Services first. After that, you can put Railway Protection Force Service, Indian Railway Protection Force Service. Here you have to mention you're in charge of passengers security, property of the railways, railway infrastructure. Not as glorious as railway traffic or railway accounts, but still a decent enough service, Railway Protection Force Service. And then there is one more, which you can also consider a good enough service. Actually, you can consider this before Railway Protection Force Service, Indian Information Service, number 9, that is mentioned in your notification. Number 9, if you see, okay, Indian Information Service. These people are in charge of Prasar Bharati, PIB, PRS, sorry, not PRS, PIB, Prasar Bharati, Doordarshan, and all the official communication the government wants to do with the public. So Indian Information Service is in charge of this, all the official communication channel of the government. good service again. Okay, you can actually consider this before railway protections. So just to repeat, before we wrap up all the Group A services, the most sought after services are obviously IAS, IPS, and Indian Foreign Service. After that, you can go with customs, and then there is IT, IRS, customs, IRS, IT. We have IAAS, Indian Audits and Account Service. Again, that is a good service. And then we have the three railway services, IRMS, traffic, then IRMS accounts, then IRMS personal. And after that, okay, you can go with defense accounts, defense estates, IDAS, IDES, and then Indian civil accounts. Then after that, everything becomes a little hazy and confusion because all these are not very famous services. But yes, we have the trade service, we have Indian trade service, Indian corporate law service, and we have Indian postal service. We have Indian postal and telecommunication and finance and account services, and finally we have Indian Information Service, and the last one here is Railway Protection, like Railway Protection Force Services. Okay, Indian Railway Protection Force Services. So this marks the end of Group A services here. Now coming to the Group B services, okay, there are various like armed forces headquarters. We have DANIPS, DANIX, and then we have PONDIPS and PONDIX. So briefly about that. So many people always prefer armed forces headquarters, which is a Group B civil services at the end, the very end, at the very last. Okay, many people first, after exhausting all the Group A, go with DANIX. DANIX is nothing but you are in charge of Delhi, Andaman, Nicobar, all the some of the union territories. You are like a Group B civil servant there. You manage. DANIX is nothing but you are like the SDM. Okay, SDM level at those union territories. DANIX, that is Daman and Diu, is also included there. So you are SDM there, and your boss will be IAS. Though you have cleared the same exam, so your boss is going to be IAS. Okay, so this is DANIX, and the police part of that, the DYSP part of that is DANIPS. Same thing, DANIPS, and Pondix is same thing, SDM level in but Group B there. Okay, Group B it is. Remember, but that is Pondix, and Pondips, that the police level is Pondips. That is about Danix and Danips, and Pondix and Pondips. Generally, people fill this before armed forces headquarters because it's not a armed forces headquarters is not a much sought after services. First of all, it's Group B, and the thing with respect to Group B services, that what you do here in armed forces headquarters is you generally handle various administrative and civilian responsibilities in armed forces headquarters. That's all. So this is the broad overview of various services that have been released in this year's form. Okay, again I'm telling you it can be changed later on as well. Now let's go to the next aspect of your DAF. Okay, and we will start with the prizes, medals, and scholarship. Okay, so now these are the things that generally, as I told you, will be asked in your interview, and you have to ensure that you are very well prepared for this when you appear for interview. So what do you understand by the aspect of prizes, medals, and scholarship? Let me just tell the exact thing that they have mentioned. They have mentioned prizes, medals, scholarship, etc. So in this prizes, medals, and scholarship, okay, you have to tell at a level of university, state, or national level. Some people even include college level. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. Okay, there is no like a hard and a strict rule. First thing, remember, let's say you write secured gold medal at university, or one state level football competition, they are not going to ask you for the certificates. They come and show us. But that doesn't mean that you bluff or lie. That will be very unethical thing to do. Don't write something that is untrue. Because remember, when you face the interview, the panel will be sitting, there will be 5 members with a cumulative experience of 150 years. Your bluff will be caught. Write things that are genuine. Many people write about the school and college level, though they have mentioned particulars at the university, state, and the national level. Many people write at school and college level also. If you not have anything much, some people even write their corporate achievements also. You can do that. Any scholarship that you got, any medal you won, debate competition, quiz competition, right? Sports, anyways, you can write in the next column. So restricted to your various prize and medals, allocation competition, designing, some robotics competition that you took part, some coding competition that you took part, some hackathon. All these things you can write here. Sir, how many should we write? First thing is, when you're writing, number it. Number one gold medal in university. Year also you can mention. Number two, silver or runners up in national level football competition, so and so. Number three, awarded best outgoing student, IIT, so and so, something like that. So three should be sufficient. Some people even write four. Do not fill up information. Why? You may be an excellent overachiever, but the thing here is, whatever you fill and whatever you keep, you have to prepare that for the interview. So ensure that you fill only authentic things and you fill only relevant things. Don't lie, don't bluff. And 3 to 4 should be sufficient. And number it 1, 2, 3, 4 so that it looks very neat. Next, sports or NCC. Now, if you have NCC B certificate, A certificate, mention that. If you have done scouts and guides, many people mention that as well. So you can easily mention. NSS also you can mention. Sports, whatever sports you have played at a college level, university level, mention it. If you have played a lot of sports, multiple sports, again, 3 to 4 should be sufficient. Do not overload information. So do not overload information. Next is position of distinction leadership held in school and college. So they are told position of distinction held in school and college. Now, you might be a class representative, class monitor. Should we write? Now, generally, if there is nothing else, you can write. Sir, I was a coordinator for my fest, or president of this college mechanical club, this club, that club. You can write that. Class representative, class monitor does not have that much this thing. Okay, but you can still like, if there is nothing, you can write that. Now, if you led any placement committees or anything that you have done as a leader, either in school or colleges, that you can write here. No problem. Again, if you have multiple, you can ensure that, again, 1, 2, 3. Again, 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 again are more than sufficient. I would say don't exceed more than 3. Next, coming to the most important part. Earlier, nowadays, they are not asking DAF based questions too much. Past 2 3 years, the number of questions asked on the DAF is a little reduced. So earlier, most of the interviews used to start with this aspects, either prizes, medals, sports, or distinction leadership. And most importantly, one favorite section was the hobbies. Now, what are hobbies? This is the most troubling section for many aspirants. They'll say, sir, I don't have any hobbies. Generally, all humans have at least one or two hobbies. What are hobbies? Very simply put, my dear friends, whatever you like to do in your leisure, that is hobby. Hobbies can be reading books, cooking, walking, jogging, exercise. And some people have even different hobbies, little complex hobbies. For example, I had tactical analysis of football matches. So whenever I used to whenever I used to get time, whenever a famous match used to happen, I used to sit and analyze that using various parameters. There was one software also where I used to get each detailed analysis of each player, then overall team analysis, team metrics, what strategy each team used. Some people have diverse hobbies. Some people have upcycling as their hobby, where they use various waste materials and upcycle them to make something productive. Some people have watching documentaries, watching movies. So always find the right hobbies and enter 2 to 3 hobbies. Sometimes even you can put 4 hobbies, not a problem. 2 to 3 hobbies or 4 hobbies also you can put, but put genuine hobbies. Now, there may be a question, sir. In college days, I had this hobby of playing guitar. After I started my UPSC journey, no guitar, no time for anything else. So even if it's an old hobby which you used to practice earlier, you can put it, not an issue. Like let's say once upon a time you collected stamps or collected coins, you can put that, not a problem. It doesn't have to be the latest hobbies that you're practicing, but it should be genuine. Now, a couple of them have already asked me, sir, I have a sort of a hobby, but it's not like genuine. But can I fill it now and start practicing it? Now, my first question is, do you have time? Where do you have time to practice it? No, you simply don't have time. It becomes risky. But then there's again thing that you can change it. UPSC will allow you to change it and modify it. But my suggestion is don't risk it. Better to be genuine. If you have all the genuine hobbies, put it. If you just have 1 or 2 hobbies, just put those 2 hobbies. Whatever you would like to do in leisure. Avoid elaborating the hobbies. I like to watch movies. Try to be very specific. Sometimes some people just cook chats. So cooking chats enough. Or when it comes to reading books, some people read only non-fictional novels or reading non-fictional novels. Or they try to read the novels of a particular author. So mention that author, reading novels of Enid Blyton or Shivram Karan, like that. Be very specific and fill it. See, remember this time it's going to take a couple of hours. Ensure that you fill it with utmost alacrity, alertness. UPSC will allow you to change, but whatever you are filling, do it fine, do it well. Okay. And if it's causing you too much tension at this point of time, then fill bare minimum, whatever it is needed. We will take care after the mains results, or whenever they ask you to fill again, that is after your mains results. Don't uh, beat your head around it. Bare minimum you fill and keep it. We can add and subtract later on, because now is the time for you to study. And unnecessarily, I'm telling you, this was unnecessary from UPSC point of view. But what they did, they have done. Now we have to do our part. And don't wait for last day. 11th February 6 p.m. is the deadline. Try and submit off the form by 9th or 10th. And most importantly, all these hobbies, position of leadership, sports, NCC, prize medal, scholarship, service preference will matter only if you clear prelims and mains. Till that time, there are just some things that you have filled. Only when you appear for interview, questions will be asked. Service preference will only matter if you get a rank. Cadre, whatever you feel after prelims, what they have told in the examination form will only matter after you get a rank. So work hard. Time is running out. Prelims is approaching. We have 4.5 months. Not even 4.5 months. Less than 4 months. May 25th, right? We have Feb. Jan is over. Feb, March, April, May. May 25th. So less than 4 months to go for prelims. And some of you might even be appearing for your state public service exam commission, which is again in itself a disruptor. Don't compromise your UPSC preparation if you have seriously focused on that. And if you have not been doing tests regularly, let this be a reminder for you to start with your tests intensively. Prelims, MCQs. If your CSAT is weak, now is the time to start. Form is out, my dear friends. And next thing, remember not to take any subject lightly. Yes, there are important subjects, focus on them, but do not ignore any subject. And last thing before I take your doubts, don't stop believing in yourself. Journey is not easy. There will always be situations of self-doubt, stress, anxiety, but do not for whatsoever reason stop believing in yourself. Okay, and before I quickly take your doubts, while filling OTR, don't make mistakes. Photo, signature, these rookie mistakes, please don't make. Go through the notification again in detail, instructions, the format that they have told, what and all should be there, the name, the date, recent photograph, look nice in the photograph. If you have a Paleolithic age ka photograph, go get a recent one. Don't risk. I have not changed. They have given clear instructions, follow it. And remember, this will be no the DAF and all that you will fill. The photograph will be repeated in that DAF 1 and DAF 2, and that is what will go in front of the interview board. You shouldn't look like a person who is very different. Let's say, especially boys, you might have a long beard now because you have nothing to do apart from studying. Get yourself groom or long disheveled hair. Get yourself a good haircut, trim, and in a tip-top condition. How you go there. Don't, because I personally feel, this is my personal opinion. Even before you have entered the room for the interview, they have your photo there and the basic details. They would definitely have skimmed through it, and it doesn't make a huge difference. Ultimately, what happens in interviews, your performance, but might, who knows. And don't make any mistakes, silly mistakes like signature error, because I read the notification in detail. The commission has mentioned that if there are any silly mistakes, they are going to discard your application. Especially with, they are being very particular with respect to photo and signature. There are FAQs also in the OTR portal. Go through the FAQs. Don't take any risk. Fill with it. Dedicate one day for this only. One day, or if one day is not possible, dedicate 2 days. Fill everything and get done with it. Don't make again any silly mistakes. And as I was saying earlier, don't stop believing in yourself. Now, yeah, now is the time to step on the gas. Now is the time to if you're clocking 9 hours, 10 hours, to start clocking 11 hours, 11 and a half hours, because competition is very intense, my dear friends. And to be in the list, you have to be better than the best. So any doubts you have with respect to the, it's very simple. Okay, and given the fact that you will be again allowed to sort of modify it. Okay, so don't worry too much. You have to upload the for your graduation certificate, it has to be your degree certificate only. Okay, degree certificate, or you can upload even the provisional degree certificate. If your results are awaited, just go through the guidelines what UPSC mentions. And also with respect to the OBC certificate, I think the issue is sorted, especially if you're a Karnataka, that issue of cancelling previously done certificates which are active. The government has issued a circular. So even if your previous certificate of last year is active, the people can the revenue officials can issue a new certificate. So if, but you never know what kind of revenue officials are there in your districts or in your taluks. If those people are not aware, go and show that circular to them and like, see, government has told, shut up and do the job. And there is one more common thing which very a lot of people miss in the OBC certificate here is, many people whose parents are in government services, uh, whose income is above 8 lakhs, think that they do not, but their caste is eligible for OBC, think that they are not eligible for OBC certificate because their parents income is more than 8 lakhs. For government servants, there is a clause in the OBC certificate where not many are aware, that if their father or mother or both have become Group A after they have crossed the age of 40, I repeat, if the parents have become Group A after they have crossed the age of 40, then they will be eligible for OBC certificate as long as their caste is included in the list, OBC list of that particular state, even if they are earning more than 8 lakhs. Let's say if your parents were Group B till the time till the time they were 40, but got promoted after the age of 40, at 41, 41, 42, or anything beyond 40, then they will be eligible to be declared as OBC, even if their income crosses 8 lakhs. Because a few of my students who met me a couple of days back, they told their parents are Group C. They're working in primary school, high school, but they're after the recent seventh pay commission, their income is crossing 8 lakhs. These kind of people will be eligible because they did not, or they're still not Group A. So on that criteria, they will be eligible for OBC certificate. This is only for OBC. So many people are not aware of this. So if at all you are a type of a candidate who will be eligible on these grounds, and not forget about candidates, even the officials there, Tahsildar and all, are not eligible. You have to show them the notification, and you have to inform them and ask them to issue the certificate. I don't think sari is necessary for girls. Any decently dressed photo will do. Yes, you have to upload the certificate in the performa given by UPSC. At the end of this notification, you see there is a performa for OBC certificate, performa for EWS certificate, performa for persons with disability. That one you have to ensure that the form you have to give in the same format. Why? Because uh, the state certificates, like for example, if you're from Karnataka, for them the certificate is different here. Like we have various categories, right? 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, XYZ, right? So that is not there in central. We just have OBC, right? So that is a different thing, so be mindful of that. uh, which document is that? So which document is that, I want to know for me to suggest. In which document your father's name is different? Okay, since you are not mentioning it, so if you have any voters ID, is it okay? If it's voters ID, it shouldn't be a much of a issue. I think if as long as other IDs have same father's name. Okay, use that ID to fill the form. Aadhaar card will have, PAN card you will have, a driver's license you will have. So use that. Don't use voter ID to apply for the exam. Use Aadhaar, use PAN card, or use your driver's license, and ensure that the same, if at all you are creating any, claiming any reservations, so exact name of your father should be there in that document, that reservation document. Otherwise, use the ID where your father's name is same, and ensure that voter ID, get it corrected also. It can get it corrected, not as a priority, but later in the future. If you have any further doubts, you can drop me a text on my Telegram ID at the rate Fariz Rahman. Okay, and remember, guys, time to work hard, time to be better than the best. Okay, and give it all you got. We have less than 4 months, and after that 3 more months for mains. If you can give it all for the next 7 months, who knows, your destiny can, with a little bit of luck, little bit of blessings from God, your destiny can be entirely different. But most importantly, the hard work part is in your hand, luck part is not in your hand. Focus on the hard work and leave rest up to the God. Take care of yourself, and all the very best.